Bandera, Councilmember Ford.
Thank you. Kolauer Bandera is a board member of the USDA National Organic Standards Board. And Kolauer, would you please identify yourself into the microphone, explain what the National Organic Standards Board does, and then any comments you would like to make specifically regarding GMO of any type. Because I think this you're representative to an international organization. Is that correct?
Thank you, Brenda. My name is Kolauer Bandera, and I'm actually here today representing Kona Coffee Farmers Association. However, Brenda, you're absolutely right. I serve the U.S. government as one of 15 members of the National Organic Standards Board, and we the 15 of us provide advice to the Secretary of Agriculture regarding our advice has to be received before anything can be changed in organic policy at the national and therefore international level, because U.S. organic rules are carried out all over the world for organic products to be shipped to the United States, which imports quite a significant volume of what's produced around the world, especially fruits, but all kinds of products. So we are looking at the whole range of issues of how those standards that are in place can be permitted, but also they have a sunset clause, so every 5 years every single product is reviewed. And I think I do bring an international perspective to this from my background, but I think from a coffee perspective, I think the critical reality is that the truth is that no single crop stands on its own in any isolated universe when you're looking at agriculture. And I think that the truth is that most all of us who are farmers, even if we don't make money or earn money from other products, when you're talking about farming and agriculture in the tropics, you're talking about multiple species. Various crops means that you have to deal with, if the bees, for example, are killed by getting pollen from a GMO crop or a pesticide or an insecticide that's used in association with such a crop, then those bees are killed and will directly affect coffee, which is self-pollinating, but when you have bees, you have 10% more pollination. So I think that these things, my point is that you can't separate the different crops, and I think realistically and frankly, just like you suggested, you can't separate lines very easily either. And I think Garnet Pewitt was commenting on the fact that, things that were attacking bees were allowed into Hawaii. They were allowed in from outside of Hawaii. I think international shipping and international agricultural activities mean that we're not isolated, even if we want to be. So we need to try to isolate ourselves and protect ourselves and be very careful and look out for our own issues and recognize that there's hard lines and it's hard to draw lines. But I think that's my general feelings.
Thank you. I have another question for you. Since most of the world, excluding North America, is restricting the use of GMO products being sold in their countries, is this something that is increasing on the international market, or is it decreasing?
Sorry, for clarification, is what increasing? The restriction?
The restrictions against growing or importing GMO products, is that internationally, is that increasing the resistance to GMO, or is it decreasing?
I think that's a good question, and my general sense without any evidence to present is that it is definitively increasing. However, I can, without any hesitation, state that the awareness of the public so the communities in individual countries and all over the world is increasing much faster in terms of being told what is in their products. So people being aware that something is GMO or has GMO products in it is that kind of labeling and that kind of forthrightness is increasing even much faster than, I think, or more evidently than the other question, which I can't confirm, but my belief is that it is increasing as well.
Thank you, Mr. Bandera, and I yield.
Okay. Thank you, Kohlhauer. One of my concerns is just how ineffective our federal and state entities are. Basically, the states saying we defer to the feds, and the feds are basically doing next to nothing, or not. For example, not doing human or animal studies where there's consumption involved. And one issue that's come up is in terms of on an international level is that my understanding Monsanto, et cetera, are trying to work on international treaties that would prevent local governments or municipalities from pursuing any home rule and therefore undermine anything that we might do. Are you aware of any of these efforts? I think it's right now a Pacific Treaty or something along that line. Are you aware of any of those efforts?
Thank you, and thank you for asking that question. I think that, frankly, that is, in my opinion, is the subject area that brings at least me here to this table and is of great concern, which is that I think that if there aren't international agreements and there aren't national laws protecting farmers and protecting people that are clearly stated, I think those battles are occurring right now. If those don't exist and aren't clearly accessible, then that's why, from my perspective, we need to start at a county or state level to put those things in place. And so I think that my experience and observation is that there are currently those arguments and discussions are happening at the international level. They're definitely happening at the United States and other national levels. I will just point to the fact that more and more individual countries are, requiring at least the acknowledgement of what is in products and/or that things have to be marked GMO, because all of the companies and all of the individuals know that that will affect sales, and it definitely affects price point. Kona coffee is an excellent example as a specialty crop, as a specialty product. What's going to happen if any GMO coffee were tested anywhere in Hawaii or somehow contaminated any Kona coffee at all? The value for the farmers would diminish, between 25 and 50% immediately. It would no longer be a specialty crop, and all of the farmers would need to close their doors, because the fact is that it wouldn't have its designation, it wouldn't have its demand, and it wouldn't retain its unique identity. It would become a commodity. And I think that back to, Hector Valenzuela was referring to the fact that we need to focus on the high values for the farmers to survive in Hawaii, for Hawaii to survive and continue to have agriculture. And I think we have to start at home with those basics of what we're looking out for. And in my opinion, we need to recognize that we can't override something that is already in place. Something, for example, like Kona coffee, which is already really thriving and surviving and has its place, and allow some other methodology to be experimented with. I think we need to not experiment with our basics. And so I would say international is where to head, but we have to start locally.
Yeah, and I think that that's really important what you're saying. I know that one thing that happened with the alfalfa, and I could see it maybe happening here, is where other markets are saying we have zero tolerance from GMOs. I know Sudan, Saudi Arabia, a number of the countries told the alfalfa growers, and I don't know whether it's the crops or seeds, do not, you send anything here, and we find any GMO, the entire market's closed. So I think economic reality is important. On the other hand, I think I just want to ask you in terms of the economic opportunity, how you see the economic opportunity for this island to be that niche market for non-GMO products.
Well, thank you. I think that's a good point, and I think it's, from my perspective, the reason and the way that I could take my place and my reality as a coffee farmer and representing coffee farmers, and there's quite a lot of us over here in Kona, to recognize that we need to broaden that opportunity and that scope, because everybody isn't exclusively a coffee farmer. For example, that's not my only product, and I think that that's true with most all farmers, and everybody can't do the same thing. And I think that having the variety of products that are specialty crops that are high value, that are attractive to consumers, that can draw people. It's nice to have coffee in taro not be GMO and not be tested, but if they know that they go to Hawaii Island and there aren't GMO products there, it's going to attract a certain subset of population. But I think from a health, like that has been discussed before, there's no health studies showing human health issues related to these topics. I think people that are concerned about those issues of human health will already understand where things are at and will be able to access products that are, at this point in time, going to be unique. And this state has used to, we can feed ourselves and we can grow our own products, and it's good to focus on exporting things, for example, things like coffee, but I think that we could have all of the things that we're importing, growing them here and growing them non-GMO, and people would demand them without any difficulty. I think that there's not really a either or. I think it's more opportunity, and I think that there's more opportunity with especially high value products and crops that we can grow here that are non-GMO. I think cacao, jumps to mind, but I think there's plenty of options.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
One question.
Councilmember Onishi.
Yeah, I have one question. You say you're representing the Coffee Association?
Yeah, I'm on the board of directors of the Kona Coffee Farmers Association.
Okay, so I just wanted to have, I guess one question about, right now, I guess the mites or beetles are attacking the coffee bean?
Right, the coffee berry borer beetle.
Right, and so what method are you folks using to treat that?
Well, I think that's a fine question, but I do have to say that we, as an organization, don't have an answer that we are providing. However, what farmers are doing typically, and what our organization has endorsed, is the use of actually what's a natural fungus, but it's Beauveria bassiana, and so it's using Beauveria bassiana at the right times and in the right ways to fight back the larva of the beetle to attack them, and so that's the primary methodology that has proven successful. And the one time not to use that is when there's flowers on the trees.
Okay, and is there any other methods that you folks are using, or basically just that fungus?
Dripping.
I think that there are cultural practices in terms of farm management that people are definitely using in their own coffee farms. I mean, for example, one of the things that people didn't used to do that they're now not necessarily required to do, but are doing much more commonly, is taking, at the end of a coffee harvest, when you only have a little bit left, because coffee is over a 5-6 month period to harvest. At the end of the time, you might have a very small harvest, especially if you have a large enough amount of coffee that you can't just take care of it in one individual or one family. You don't necessarily want to hire pickers to clean off all that coffee. Well, all that coffee can be host to the berry borer beetle, and so now people are typically cleaning that up. They're stripping off that stuff, even if they just have to get it off the farm for the sake of protecting the farm from having more hosts, because the host for the beetle is the coffee cherry. And so doing a cleaning has, I think, increased in what is recommended to control the beetle.
Okay.
I think that's the other significant.
By using the fungus, would you know if there was a study done to make sure that this fungus was good for the coffee plants?
70 countries.
If it's good for the coffee plants?
Correct, for the plants, for attacking the beetles?
Naturally occurring.
Yeah, I think, let's see. The coffee berry borer beetle exists everywhere in the world that coffee is grown, except for it did not in Hawaii until recently. It wasn't ascertained for certain that it was here. And so, like I said before, the fungus actually exists naturally in Hawaii, and many people have argued, actually, and no one has been able to disprove that it well could be that the beetle was here before anybody, quote-unquote, discovered it. It's just that it was kept in balance via the natural fungus. And no one can prove that is or isn't true. However, in terms of whether or not it's safe, no one has been able to show any dramatic problem. I think the intensity of applying the fungus from a human health perspective has a little bit of uncertainty in terms of, how much you should be protecting yourself from breathing it while you're spraying and things like that. But I don't think from a coffee tree's health perspective there's any uncertainty about that it's not causing any damage to the coffee trees.
Yeah, I need to. I'm just looking at the health part of the person consuming it, right? But then also, so did the university do a study on this to recommend this to the coffee farmers?
At least in 49 states.
So they didn't do. Did they do a study to release it? They got authorization to use it because it's already allowed for other purposes. Bavaria bassiana is already used for other purposes agriculturally around the country.
So the university did recommend this to the coffee farmers?
It was recommended. It wasn't recommended by the university. I know the state recommended it, but I'm not. I know the Hawaii Department of Agriculture did, but I'm not positive the university recommended. So I think I'm not 100% certain on that question of the university itself.
Okay, thank you.
The university was involved. CTAR was involved, but I don't know that they recommended through a study.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Yoshimoto.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. Actually, I don't have a question for any of these speakers, but I just wanted to just get a sense of how many other expert witnesses are here in the council room or in other areas, so we know where we're at, kind of like how we do.
So we have,
Right, we invited ones.
yeah, the invited ones, Mr.
Joe, you want to come up?
Walter Riddy from Molokai? Molokai?
Oh, no, don't worry.
Not yet, no, not yet.
I'm just kidding.
We're just getting, and then we're supposed to have Lynn Howe. She's not here. Okay, she's gone. We had Russell Nagata, but he's here. Russell Nagata and Zach Mermel. So Zach is not here, but we do have Russell. So it's right now Walter Riddy, Russell Nagata, and what was his name?
Joe Castle here was here at 3.
Dr. Castle is supposed to, is he back? Okay.
Yes, he is back. He's here.
Dr.
Thank you.
Castle. So I think we have 3 more, is that right, that was invited?
Can you confirm that? Just
Yeah.
But can I ask a question, Madam Chair?
Okay, go ahead.
But what if we had, as council members, some experts that we wanted to call?
These were
That,
invited.
yeah, remember at the last meeting, we said we would have those invited and you would let us know who was invited. Like, I got a list from Councilmember Kern, and then I got some from Councilmember Ford, and then Councilmember Willie. And then, but you're seeing some people that you may know now that you may want to call, but if time permits, then we can call them.
Okay.
But we agreed that we would have the invited experts.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so we're,
I have a question.
okay. So you had, Councilmember Yoshimoto, you had the floor, but are you okay with
well,
that
yeah, I
right
just
now?
wanted to get a status,
Okay.
but also to see, because other council members Just
wanted.
so we see where we're
Okay.
at, yeah.
So questions for Mr. Bandera, Councilmember Elegant.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Where is Mr. Bandera?
Did the, are the
One
Band-
second, Chair Iligan
Thank you, Scott.
stepped out for a moment. Be right back.
And I swear, I'll just take 2 to 3 minutes.
Okay. Okay, so while we're waiting, can Mr. Walter Riddy just come have a seat up in front?
Sorry.
And Mr. Nagata, you come and just have a seat up in front.
Mr. Bandera?
Yes, my apologies.
No problem. We're trying to get situated over here. So I wanted to
Okay.
ask you, your concern about cross-contamination with GMO with the coffee crop, is that correct?
Originally when we put our time and energy into working with the county council on this
Cross-contamination.
subject area, whatever it was, 5-6 years ago, that was the issue. If there was going to be outdoor experimentation with GMOs, that could and would contaminate coffee pretty quickly.
Okay, now...
So I'm not necessarily concerned about that at this moment. I was just commenting on that as a fact.
Well, we're discussing genetically modified organisms. That's the bill. Now,
Right.
Then what are you concerned about on GMOs regarding coffee? Because you represent the Coffee Association, right?
That's correct, and I think that I'm not currently concerned about a GMO contamination to coffee unless something were permitted that would allow for that contamination. However, I do think, and it is true, that, like I said, coffee farms are not, independent or freestanding all on their own, and that was the comment I made about the fact that, having GMO crops around is not necessarily, a positive
So do you...
reality for people who are looking at the whole picture. I'm not concerned about Kona coffee getting contaminated from GMO at this point in time.
And why is that?
Because there currently is not any testing happening of GMO coffee crops at this point.
Do you know why?
Do I know why? Yeah, I understand the law.
Okay.
And I was actually involved with the county council in putting that into place.
So what's the main opposition for this bill with the Coffee Association?
What's the main opposition? We support the bill.
Yeah, okay, can I just because he was invited here as a board member of the USDA National Organic Standards Board.
Oh,
So that's
I
why.
apologize.
And
I thought you were...
he is with the also with the Kona coffee farmers.
Okay.
But basically, he was here as a member of the USDA National Organic Standards Board.
Oh, okay, so you're with the Organic Standard Board. So you're not here
yeah,
representing the...
I was referring to the fact that I had provided testimony in the past at your last two meetings on this. I provided testimony from the Kona Coffee Farmers Association, and so I wanted to be clear and put that on the table. I am serving on the National Organic Standards Board, which Brenda wanted to ask me follow-up questions on regarding organics. And I do, frankly and realistically, as an organic coffee farmer, we cannot have GMOs to any degree at all to still be certified organic, and it's a significant factor. And I'll be honest and straight with you. I sell my Kona coffee for $40 a pound, and financially, I can't, and that's because it's certified organic. And, you know, it's another way for farmers to add higher value to their crops. And I think that financially in Hawaii, farmers can't make it unless they have methodologies to get there. And specialty coffee, Kona coffee, is a high-value crop by itself. But adding that other layer of organic, you know, means a whole nother benefit for farmers to survive.
Thank you.